This is Titus Frost, spitting truth, causing glitches in the Matrix.
I see weakness claws in the system circuits, constraint, fiber optics tie, static gnostics, the face backslash synopsis scars, underneath your cockpit, there's no time.
So in today's video, I'm going to be exposing May Day, and May Day is also known as the Beltane Fire Festival Day, and this is a day that you can trace all the way back through history in which these Satanists openly practice their human ritual sacrifice and child sacrifice, and this stems all the way back to the worship of Baal, which is also known as Kronos, which is also known as Saturn, a planet. So don't let any of these people dressed up in robes gaslight you when they say they're just worshiping nature, when they're worshiping nature by sacrificing animals and children to a planet in the sky. So if you look here and you look at their little pagan holiday list, you'll see about midway down through the screen, celebrating the spring equinox, is May 1st, which is, Beltane Festival, also called Walpurgis Night. This is the highest day on the Druidic witches' calendar. May 1st is the Illuminati's second most sacred holiday. Human sacrifice is required. And you can see leading up to May 1st, from April 19th to May 1st, is blood sacrifice to the beast. Fire sacrifice is required on April 19th. And the Beltane Fire Festival is obviously another one of these fire rituals. And this isn't something out of a scene of the Game of Thrones, which is another highly popular show that is desensitizing the masses to these satanic rituals, making it normal. They even call their fire god the Lord of Light. It couldn't be more obvious.
All of us. But if we make this sacrifice...
Accept this token of our faith, my lord, and lead us from the darkness. Lord of Light, show us the way!
So while they're performing human sacrifices and child sacrifices in hidden locations out of the sight of the public, they have the public taking part in their satanic rituals unknowingly, which we'll get to in a little bit, and knowingly, and they just gaslight everyone saying that these aren't satanic rituals involving human sacrifice when they are. Which is where these morons come in and are so useful to the powers that shouldn't be. These people running around naked in the woods doing stupid fire festivals that have absolutely no meaning to them other than just running around naked and being morons, because that's what they do when they're not doing whatever the hell else these people do, likely drugs. And this allows the elite to go, oh, Beltane Fire Festival was that, druidic thing from ancient times where, we had bonfires and people ran around crazy, and that was pretty much it. And the only people that celebrate it today are these types of people you see here on the screen, while at, hidden locations on mansions, deep inside the woods, wherever the hell these powers that shouldn't be actually live and have their, I'm sure, enormous mansions paid for by all of us, they're actually doing real human sacrifice. And then they can just point at these people and say, oh, those are the only people celebrating. You see how that works? It's like the way the Freemasons work at the highest levels of Freemasonry. They're doing extraordinarily satanic, disgusting things, where at the very lowest levels, it's just a charitable social organization. You gotta have the people like this that just think it's all about worshiping nature and nonsense and has nothing to do with real Satanism, to make it look like that's what it's all about, when in fact, in private, the powers that shouldn't be are doing actual sick human sacrifice. And of course, May 1st is a day that they hold extremely in high regard, which is why stuff like the Church of Satan, founded by Anton LaVey and is supported by a massive number of Hollywood types, was founded on when? April 30th to May 1st, that night, which is called Walpurga Night, and is their second highest holy holiday or whatever. And these people sit here and say, oh, this is all about just the material world and all this crap. But if you actually read LaVey's books, he admits to believing in an actual spiritual devil. So don't let these people trick you into thinking they're just atheists who hate Christianity, which is why they worship Satanism. These people at the very tops of these types of organizations are actually Satanists who believe in a spiritual entity and all of that. And this is all tied back into Baal worship and all that crap, which is why they're celebrating this stuff on May 1st. In reality, there is nothing on May 1st that makes it a special day. It's just their worship of planetary movements and things like that. But these people are so idiotic they don't quite understand that. And they think there's actually some benefit they get by doing these disgusting satanic rituals on this date. So even though they did an extraordinarily good job of cleansing anything relevant about Beltane, May 1st, or anything like that from your average Wikipedia post on this, they still have to admit in here that, this is all tied back into these satanic rituals and stuff like Samhain, which is October 31st, which people call Halloween. And, this is the other big festival for Satanists. And even, I think Wikipedia has to admit that, even though they tried their best to clear, Beltane of any wrongdoing. And when you read through the modern era, of course, it tries to make it out to be some sort of, big bonfire that people just go and celebrate and dance like it's some sort of barbecue for people that are sympathetic to Satanists. It's absolutely disgusting, and people should be exposing this stuff. Anyone practicing this, anyone taking part in the Beltane fire festivals should have a close eye kept on them at all times, since this is tied directly into human sacrifice and animal sacrifice. And anyone that's willing to sacrifice a human or an animal for some stupid pagan, satanic, ritualistic crap has no place in our society. None. And because May 1st is a supreme high satanic holiday, that's the date that the Illuminati was founded, May 1st, 1776, by Adam Weishaupt in Bavaria, in Germany. And even though the Illuminati doesn't go by that name anymore, the Illuminati, they've long since stopped using that to describe themselves, and now they go by no name, this was the modernization of all the various mystery schools and things by the House of Rothschild under Weishaupt into a new doctrine that they would use to take over the planet. And that doctrine is still in place by the same financiers who set this individual up in the beginning. First off, you got to understand that Freemasonry is just Kabbalism for the Goyim. It's just a way for, the high-end Satanist to indoctrinate anyone that has any belief in any religion at all into Satanism and Luciferianism. That's what it's really about. They pretend like they're Jews, but they're not. The Talmud is a satanic document. It denies Jesus Christ, which is proof it's a satanic document, because anything that denies the divinity of our Lord Jesus Christ is antichrist in nature and therefore satanic. Now let's get into this. Talks about when these Rothschild people were married and born and things like that. But the important part here is Adam Weishaupt officially completes his organization of the Illuminati on May 1st of this year. This is 1776. The purpose of the Illuminati is to divide the Goyim, all non-Jews, through political, economic, social, and religious means. And by non-Jews, I have to clarify that as to meaning Ashkenazi, Khazarian mafia, satanic Baal worshippers. These are not, Hebrew-minded people. Okay, these people are Baal worshippers. They're worshiping Saturn and Satanism. Okay, they're Luciferianism. This has nothing to do with Judaism. Okay? The opposing sides were to be armed and incidents were to be provided in order for them to fight amongst themselves, destroy national governments, destroy religious institutions, and eventually destroy each other. I'd say we're well on pace for that. Weishaupt soon infiltrates the Continental Order of Freemasons with his Illuminati doctrine and establishes lodges of the Grand Orient to be their secret headquarters. This was all under the orders and finance of Mayer Amschel Rothschild, and the concept has spread and is followed within Masonic lodges worldwide to the present day. So according to history, the Illuminati was disbanded in 1784. However, in 1798, George Washington writes to Reverend G.W. Snyder. The letter states, "Reverend Sir, I have your favor of the 17th, instant before me, and my only motive to trouble you with the receipt of this letter is to explain and correct a mistake which I perceive the hurry in which I am obliged often to write letters have led you into. It was not my intention to doubt that the doctrines of the Illuminati and principles of Jacobinism had not spread in the United States. On the contrary, no one is more truly satisfied of this fact than I am. The idea that I meant to convey was that I did not believe that the lodges of Freemasons in this country had, as societies, endeavored to propagate the diabolical tenets of the first or pernicious principles of the latter, if they are susceptible of separation. The individuals of them may have done it, or that the founder or instrument employed to found the democratic societies of the United States may have had these objects and actually had a separation of the people from their government in view, is too evident to be questioned. My occupations are such that but little leisure is allowed me to read newspapers or books of any kind. The reading of letters and preparing answers absorb much of my time, with respect, etc." So this is George Washington, the first president of the United States, confirming in 1798 that the doctrines of the Illuminati had found their way into America through various individuals that were connected to the Masons. Which is exactly why when you look at the dollar bill, on the back you have the seal of the Illuminati, and on it has the date 1776 on the bottom of the pyramid. That's what those Roman numerals add up to mean, which is extremely interesting considering that's the same year that the Illuminati were founded on Beltane Fire Festival Day on May 1st. And just for accuracy, this is how you break down the numbers. Anyone can go do this themselves, and it comes out to 1776, which is the year America was founded, of course, but it's also the year that the Illuminati was founded, which is a convenient coincidence considering they put the Illuminati seal right on their Federal Reserve note, which is fake monopoly money printed by a bank run by the Rothschild family. The same Rothschild family that founded the Illuminati and financed that. The people that they set up in America created the central banking system through stuff like Chase Bank and all their little puppet agents like the Rockefeller family. And that's exactly how they've taken over America, and then they flaunt it in your face every day that you used their money. Problem is, and people like Alex Jones will never get into this type of thing because he's one of the reasons why everyone thinks Illuminati means you're a conspiracy nut. Well, the Illuminati, like the Mafia that they were highly influential in setting up through Mazzini, have no name. The Mafia never had a name. Bilderberg never actually had a name. When the Bilderberg meetings first started taking place, they just met in the Hotel Bilderberg. They didn't have any name to them at all because the powers that shouldn't be know that if you can identify them, you can destroy them. So they stopped using any name at all for a very long time, and Adam Weishaupt even wrote that what is exactly what their plan was going to be, to go by any name other than the Illuminati. Doesn't matter what you call them, that's not what they are. So they're the enlightened ones, they're the unknown. As I talk about in my book, The Lost Truth, we don't know exactly who these people are. There might be people over the Rothschilds, and the Rothschilds might just be the banksters for this, conspiracy, which is what it is. It's a conspiracy. And just because I use the word conspiracy doesn't mean it's not true. It just means that it is a group of people working together for their own benefit. And there's plenty of proof of that financially when you look at how these people are all intertwined together and work together for their own financial benefit. I mean, you can see right here, RIT, Capital Partners, which is the Lord Jacob Rothschild Company and Soros and the World Bank and Albright are all connected via this Helios company, and that's just one example. If you go look at the report I linked up in the Steemit article you're now looking at, I put the link to the PLOS1 report, which connects the largest companies in the world, like 50 something companies, run something like 60% of all the finances in the world. And when you look at the companies, they just so happen to be like Barclays, which is one of the biggest ones, I think number 2, which is the Rothschild Bank, of course. And when you read the doctrines laid out by Adam Weishaupt for how they would take over political control, that's exactly what is going on in our world today. One of their goals was to, and I'll read it again, I wrote this, as you can see, in the Steemit article, and this all came out long before Pizzagate, because these pedophile trafficking rings run by these people have been getting exposed for a very long time. That's why I say Pizzagate is pedogate, because as soon as Pizzagate broke, I was onto it right away because I was already trying to expose these guys for this exact thing. Adam Weishaupt, monetary and sex bribery was to be used to obtain control of men already in high places, in the various levels of all governments and other fields of endeavor. Once influential persons had fallen for the lies, deceits, and temptations of the Illuminati, they were to be held in bondage by application of political and other forms of blackmail, threats of financial ruin, public exposure, and physical harm, even death to themselves and loved members of their families. And that's exactly the description of what's called the honey trap. That's what they've been using to control people, to get wars going. This is how DynCorp operates. This is it. This is their doctrine. This is what they're doing. This is what Pizzagate is all about. This is what Jeffrey Epstein's island is all about. This is what all those pedo rings over in the UK are all about. And it just, when you have the elite doing this crap, it stems its way all the way down through society. Then you get the peons of these people doing this and having their own rings and getting sloppy and getting caught until the powers that be cover up for them as well, which is how things like Hampstead come about. I mean, it's just unbelievable, and we have to stop this now. We have to get rid of these powers that shouldn't be, because this is literally what's going on, and now they're using children because no one cares if a politician sleeps with a prostitute anymore. It's kind of blasé. I mean, it'll hurt the guy for like a week or two, but it won't end his career. If they have blackmail of that politician abusing children sexually, that will end his career, throw him in jail, all those types of things. No one thinks that's acceptable, which is why they're using that as the new form of blackmail. And I don't mean to bitch, but I just want to show you that I don't do this for the money. I spent hours putting that document together on Steemit on the Illuminati, getting all the sources together, writing it up, editing it, all of that. And you know how many people saw it? Like 8 people, and 19 people voted on it, earning me a whole $0.00 on that article. And I've referenced back to that article so many times because it's so useful. Okay, so everyone join me on Steemit so that when I produce stuff like this, you can use it as reference material and people actually see it because you'll help me share it. I can do the best work in the world, but without your help, without people helping me share the information I'm producing, no one will see it but me. And why is it important for people to see the information I'm presenting? It's important because we have to know to fight back spiritually against these Satanists on these days. These are the days that we really need to focus our spiritual warfare against these people. And instead of celebrating death on these days, we should celebrate life and the eternal life granted to us by the Son of the Lord. Okay? So, if you think back, and this happened back when I was just waking up, like the end of 2011 is when I woke up. It had to be around about a month or so after this, okay? And this is one of those events when I woke up and realized, holy crap, I just literally took part in this. It was shocking to me. I thought I was just being a good patriotic American celebrating the death of the guy that caused 9/11. when in fact anyone that's looked into 9/11 knows that Osama bin Laden had very little to do with all the deaths that took place that day. Now, they announced the death of Osama bin Laden, if you remember this, on May 1st, 2011. And why May 1st? Because everyone celebrated the death of Osama bin Laden, their CIA plant that they used to blame 9/11 on. So basically what occurred was a human sacrifice. Osama bin Laden, even though I don't believe he died that day, I believe he died years before this, but I think the reason they chose May 1st to announce his death is so that they could get all of the public to celebrate Beltane Fire Festival Day and take part in a human sacrifice unaware.
Good evening. Tonight, I can report to the American people and to the world that the United States has conducted an operation that killed Osama bin Laden, the leader of Al-Qaeda.
Now cue all the people in the streets celebrating, going nuts, and taking part in this Illuminati human sacrifice just announced by this traitorous puppet who's now getting paid $400,000 per speaking engagement. And here you are, your fellow Americans celebrating the death of Osama bin Laden, taking part in the Beltane Fire Festival on May 1st, 2011, completely unaware, thinking this is all about patriotism, when it's not. It's all about celebrating a Luciferian ritual. Now, if you were one of those idiots out there celebrating, raise your hand and ask God for forgiveness, because I was one of them as well, and we all done goofed on that one, okay? So, I wasn't even awake back in 2011 in May. I woke up shortly after that, and I was shocked myself to find out that I had taken part in a Illuminati Baal human sacrifice, completely unaware, by celebrating the death of Osama bin Laden. And I'm sure everyone else in America would find that information pretty interesting and damning of the powers that shouldn't be, that they would have announced that and had us all take part in their little satanic celebration. And I hate to be mean, but this was going on at the exact same time that we were all celebrating the death of Osama bin Laden. These weird satanic rituals called Beltane, where they want you to think this is all just about worship of nature and all this other stuff. This is all about human sacrifice. And, you have the maypole, which represents fallen angels falling down to earth and all these other things. And, all must pass through the gateway, it says on the screen, and be purified. The only way to be purified is to repent to Jesus Christ and accept him into your heart. That's it. All these little satanic ritual, pagan, nonsense things, no matter what you people do, you will not gain access to heaven by doing crap like this. And because they're going to say, oh, the Beltane thing just goes back to Stonehenge and has nothing to do with Luciferianism, blah, 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 blah. Let's totally debunk that theory right off the bat. What you're looking at is an overview of Stonehenge, and what you can see depicted there is the convergence of Saturn and Venus in the solar system before whatever took place to rearrange our entire solar system and turn Saturn from the primary star into a dead star, which is now referred to as the Black Sun. And the star you can see here on the screen is Ishtar, which represents Venus, but it is actually more of what they saw in the night sky back in ancient times when they built stuff like this. They were representing it on the ground and then worshiping it. And we now know that Stonehenge was used for human sacrifice and animal sacrifice because they found all types of bodies and remains of ritualistically sacrificed people, and the entire site is basically set up as a auditorium for doing these satanic rituals and sacrificing people with an audience. So that's what Stonehenge was built for, was ritualistic sacrifice, and it's just continuing on to this day, just not out in the plain sight. The same powers that shouldn't be that were in charge of this stuff back then are still doing this stuff likely somewhere else, hidden from sight. And here you can see a depiction of the exact same thing. This is a depiction of Saturn, and this would overlay behind the last star. And this is what they worship. They're worshiping stuff in the sky that they equate to, and that's what they teach the lower level Satanists, that this is all just about worshiping the planets and the moons and stuff like that, and it's all about materialism, blah, blah, blah. We know at the highest levels that this is really about Luciferianism and things, but it's also worthwhile exposing even their basic symbology, which you can see here, and you can see at the top, on top of the star that you're looking at, which is the black star, obviously has the star sign for Saturn. And we understand the electric nature of the universe and how things would have been seen in the ancient night sky back in ancient times. You can understand where these symbols come from, how what they're trying to show you is, what they saw in the sky, which was the comet Venus with Mars in front of it and Saturn behind it. Okay, so it's the conjoining of the three that they're trying to show you. That's what they were worshiping, because it would have been the brightest thing in the sky, okay? And the same archetype is still used today with stuff like the Jesuit logo here, which is a depiction of the black sun, which is Saturn. And that's why, the Jesuits are a break off of the Illuminati. They push Jacobinism, and they've now taken over the already completely corrupted Catholic, Roman Empire. And these guys are who controls Jerusalem. The Vatican 100% controls all of Jerusalem. They bought the land a few years ago, and I think the Pope in the future might be who they set up as like the king of the New World Order on the throne in Jerusalem. That's just a guess. I'm not 100% sure on that, but if I had to say, if I absolutely had to say who I think might be the Antichrist in the future, it would be whoever a pope, one of these popes will be in the future, if I had to pick right now. And no, I'm not saying the current pope is the Antichrist. What I'm saying is a pope in the future will be, in my opinion, who they set up to be that figure. And these same basic geometric archetypes are the foundations for all these things here that people think are, so super enlightening and things like that. This is just, the Remphan star drawn in a more elaborate way. All these people that think this is like spiritualistic and crap like that, this is just a diagram. And all this stuff stems from the mystery schools and, the serpent priests of Egypt and the pharaohs and all of those types of people knowing more about the universe than the people who live under their rule. And they use that to set up these fake religions. I'm sure that the powers that shouldn't be have a good understanding that the universe is electric and not driven by gravitational forces but by electromagnetic events, and they've encoded this stuff in plain sight for thousands of years, and no one's quite figured it out yet until the modern day era, where we can do these lab experiments and figure out exactly what was being depicted, which is electromagnetic events. And it's just so obvious, and they still are worshiping these things right out in plain sight and shoving it in your face all the time, yet no one talks about it. All they ever talk about is the shape of the planet we live on, or the newest music video with a pyramid symbol in it. when the real symbols and stuff that we should be exposing is stuff that actually teaches people about the universe we happen to inhabit, which is like why they use these different logos and things. It's because they're encoding knowledge like this that you see on the screen right in your face and you never knew it. And just like they have you all worshiping their symbols and things like that, they have the masses running out just like these people did every year to celebrate the death of Osama bin Laden. Everyone who went out, and that includes me, basically took part in what you see here on the screen on May 1st, 2011. Now, let's learn from that and not let it happen again. The next time they try to pull something like that, let's all come together and call them out on it, as I'm doing right now, calling out May 1st for what it is, and let's go out and celebrate life and praise Jesus Christ to counter these people. So don't go out and celebrate the death of someone. Go out and celebrate the life that everyone has been given by the Son of the Lord. This is a picture of human sacrifice, child sacrifice taking place back in Baal, which is now Lebanon, to Baal, which was exactly what they still do on the Beltane Fire Festival Day. This is exactly a depiction of what is still taking place in the modern day era, which is totally insane. This type of practice is what caused the Russians to go in and destroy the Khazarian Empire in the first place, because these sick Khazars were doing this stuff way back in the day, and they were forced to take up one of the three Abrahamic religions, and they pretended to take up one of them. What they've done is just continue to do this crap into the modern day, and it is time for this to come to an end. These sacrifices to Baal, which is also known as Kronos, which is also known as Moloch. Remember the Moloch emails? Right in the Podesta emails from WikiLeaks. With fingers crossed, the old rabbit's foot out of the box in the attic, I will be sacrificing a chicken in the backyard to Moloch, tree to Hillary Clinton. Okay? So this stuff is still going on, even though this was probably a joke. The reason she's joking about it is because she probably knows that these people actually still do this crap. Then you have people like James Alefantis, who posting on his Instagram, which is right here on the screen, it says Moloch Machine. And this is posted right on Jimmy Comet's Instagram, the same Jimmy Comet who uses a bust of Antinous, the Greek god of pedophilia, to be his avatar on Instagram, and it's still up there. And no one questions him about that in the mainstream media. He uses the known avatar of a bust of Antinous, the Greek god of pedophilia. It's so blatant what this guy is putting out in plain sight. And right here on the screen, you have the Moloch connection, the Baal connection, the Beltane Fire Festival connection right here. So I would highly, highly suggest that some independent journalists keep a close eye on all these Pizzagate people and what the hell they're up to on the night of May 1st. And I'll just remind these sick Satanists that what is done underground will be brought into the light. Jesus Christ will expose everything that you sick fucks are doing. You won't get away with any of it. You should repent and stop doing it now while you still have a chance to save your soul. Don't sacrifice people to this machine, this Moloch machine that you need to sacrifice to just to keep your status in this world. It's not worth an eternity in hell. Save yourselves. And I just want to fully explain this symbol before the end of this video, because this is not the Star of David. This is the Remphan star. Okay, this represents Saturn. That's it. What you're looking here on the screen is called the seal of Saturn. Okay? This is not the Star of David, never was the Star of David, never has been the Star of David. That was just a hijacked symbol, just like they hijacked Israel. In the modern day, Israel is a Rothschild nation used to start wars in the Middle East. Okay? It's not the Israel from the Bible. This is why they represent themselves with a satanic star, which is the Star of Saturn, the Remphan star in the Bible. That's what they're worshiping. And you can find this Remphan star just about everywhere on the planet, long before Judaism ever even existed, because this goes back long before Judaism and has nothing to do with Judaism. It has to do with Baal worship, okay? The worship of the planet Saturn. That's what this has to do with, okay? The worship of the stars and the planets in the materialistic world. And another extremely important thing to understand is they don't just represent the symbol with the Remphan star. They also represent it with the black cube, the hexagon, the three-dimensional cube, the hypercube. That's what the George Washington Masonic Memorial is built to. Okay, and that's what would fit in the center of the Remphan star, the thing they use on the Israeli flag. It's not the Star of David, it's the Star of Saturn. And it's obvious because the hexagon, the three-dimensional cube, fits perfectly in there and is represented by the star itself. This diagram here shows you how you represent the cube in a two-dimensional setting. And this is exactly how you do it. You depict it as a hexagon, which is what the center of the Remphan star is. And what they're trying to show you there is what's known as the black cube of Saturn. Now you need to go see the channel Round Saturn's Eye or Truth Media Revolution or Face Like the Sun to understand what this is actually all about. So you can see here the black cube traced back through history has always represented Saturn, Set, whatever, and it's just still used today in an overwhelmingly shocking amount of ways. I see it all the time on various things, but this is one of their big symbols. And if you think to 9/11, the two towers are now basically black cubes that represent the abyss that water falls down into. And you go around, and now that you're aware of this, you'll see it everywhere. I mean, they represent it in different ways. I saw it in New York City in front of a big bank. It was a red version of the same thing, a cube. It's the hypercube, the time cube, Nintendo GameCube, right? Google Qubit, and you have the Kaaba in Mecca, which is a giant black cube that these people all just so happen to circle around the exact same direction that the planet Saturn circles itself around its pole, where there's a black cube represented on the pole of Saturn. Okay, so Islam is one of these religions created, in my opinion, by these Kabbalists, by these Illuminists, to trick people into another false control religion. And there's no more controlling religion than Islam, and it's a totally fake religion because it denies the divinity of Jesus Christ. Therefore, Islam is of the Antichrist and a false religion. So basically, the way the elites have it set up, if you worship just materialism and you're an atheist, then you're worshiping their God anyways. They got all the Islam people of the world worshiping their God. They have all of the people in the Hindu nations and the Buddhist nations and all that worshiping dualism, which is their religion anyways. They have all the Catholics accidentally worshiping this stuff because Catholicism is all a bunch of pagan, ritualistic, Baal worship nonsense, which has all the symbolism of Saturn in it, and worshiping that. This is what they have the whole world worshiping: Saturn, Baal worship. That's it. It has to be exposed. If they can critique our Christianity, we can critique their stupid satanic Luciferian religion and their dualistic crap. They believe in stuff like, light is the opposite of darkness, right? Which is total nonsense, because darkness is just the absence of light. It's not some dualistic thing that you can point to and go, oh, look, the whole universe is dualistic in nature. No, that's just a lie. And these people worship all types of things that are completely false. And the only answer to all of this is to turn to Jesus Christ and worship him, because that's the truth.